The 2017 Mazda 3 is Mazda's attempt to take out some of the big players in the ever-competitive compact car segment, such as the Honda Civic, the Ford Focus, and the Chevrolet Cruze. So we're going to take the Mazda today into three distinct environments. We're going to take it on the highway to see how refined it is, through town to test out its practicality, and then through the twisty bits to see how this car performs. All of that's coming up on the Drive Guide. Before we start this review, I just want to quickly say that I think this Mazda 3 is easily the best looking car in its class. The Kodo designed language, which features small and tight headlights and taillights and sweeping lines and that massive front grille, really create a handsome looking vehicle. So driving this car through town, one thing you really notice is how easy it is to work this manual transmission. The clutch is really light. The gearbox itself is fantastic. You know exactly what gear you're in, and it's so direct and smooth. I think this would actually be a great car to teach someone how to drive stick in, because you can easily crawl away in first gear with almost no throttle input at all. The rear pillars are quite large, as with any hatchback, but because you're seated a little more inwards to the car, when you look over your shoulder, you can clearly see a lot right behind you. So the two niggles that I have with this interior are to deal primarily with the right-hand side info display and then the hood release and the fuel cap release. The buttons that house, or the springs, whatever it is, it feels quite flimsy, and every time you go to reach for it, it feels like it's going to fall off in your hand, which is a little disconcerting. With the right-hand side digital display, you have the option to see your current fuel economy, your range, your average fuel economy, and then your average speed. And none of them provide me with any information that I'm particularly interested in. And in all honesty, when I'm looking at something like range and I'm going up a hill, it gives me an anxiety attack because you just see the kilometers drop by the second. I wish there was a setting where it could just be black so you didn't have to worry about anything. Look at the practicality of this car. We have a set of nondescript golf clubs, and as we open up the hatchback, you can see that they easily slide into place. No issues there at all. And then when you come round to the side, you can see that the seats actually fold down in a 60-40 fashion, so that there's plenty more space for all of your Freemason friends clubs. You have space in the center console for two nondescript coffee cups that sit there very nicely. Sitting in the back, you have another spot for two nondescript coffee cups, and then in the door pockets, there's some space for them as well. But for the back seat practicality, you only have a seat pocket on the passenger side. All right, so we're just about to join the highway now, and for driving this car on the highway, first of all, the ride is a little firm. I wouldn't go so far to say that it's uncomfortable, but when you go over expansion joints or some of those deep bumps like that, you are going to feel it. But I don't think it's to the detriment of the driver, because these seats are really quite comfortable. And it's reasonably quiet in here. If you're doing a long highway stint, I wouldn't say that you're in any way exhausted by your journey. With 155 horsepower, this car has enough power to get you out of anybody's way, and you never feel like you're a liability on the road. But if you're going up a steep hill, say, and you've got your cruise control set, you will see the needle slowly go down, and you'll need to drop a cog and add a little more throttle. To shift the focus on the interior of this car, I have to say, I think this is one of the best in class. And I say that in terms of its build quality, this car is pretty much everything in its price point B. It has really nice materials all around. You can certainly find some harder plastics if you go searching for them, but for all the things that matter, like the steering wheel, the armrests up on the top of the door, it's really not that bad at all. And when you come down and look at the infotainment system, it uses a rotary wheel with some dedicated buttons all around, and then it also has a 7-inch touchscreen up in the front. But when you're driving along, this isn't a touchscreen. You're not allowed to, get anything out of it. So you have to resort to these buttons and dials, which all feel fantastic in the hand. All the controls are so logical. Other things to note with this car is we do have the GS model. We have a heated steering wheel, heated seats, blind spot monitoring system, automatic lights, automatic windshield wipers. I do think this car would be great as a long distance cruiser. I'm 6'4" and I was able to find the perfect driving position with no worries whatsoever. I think these seats are rather quite comfortable, and yeah, the ride's a little firm, but I don't think it's jolting or it ever gives you a shock to your system. Mazda's catchphrase is driving matters, and they say this because they want every car in their segment to offer a rewarding driving experience. And they do this by making cars that are balanced, making cars that you actually want to get in and go for a drive. So we're about to turn off the highway onto a stretch of road that I think would be fantastic to show off its performance, and then we can have a look, see how this car actually is as a driver's car. This car doesn't have any sort of sport modes or any different settings that you can change around with the vehicle because, as I said earlier, Mazda sets this up as a driving car, period. You shouldn't have to adjust anything more than the gear you're in and how much throttle input you have. You have the confidence to drive this car enthusiastically, and that is all a driver's car is meant to be. Go down to quite some gears, and a horrendously tight one too. Oh, and I'm good, I'm out. Woo! Car sounds pretty decent as well, I'd say. And the thing with this car is that it's not a sports car in the sense that you have a lot of downright speed. It isn't what many would consider quick, but it's a momentum car. You know, you can enter a corner at some speed and you're able to keep that speed. Yeah, you're not gonna power out with the thrust of a McLaren, but you are gonna have a good time doing it. Like this corner here coming up, this one, oh my God. Here we go. Heel towing in this car is actually pretty easy as well. Oh, this one really tight. Oh, felt a little bit of understeer there. That's because I was having too much fun. You can place this car so well in a corner. Look at this, look. Oh, touch that apex. Boy! There's a fair amount of feedback through the steering. I wouldn't say a lot, but you always know what the front tires are doing, and that is the confidence you want in a sports car. You always want to know what the car is capable of and when you've reached its limits. I truly do believe they have been able to inject a joy for driving in this car. So at the end of the day, yes, this car does perform. This Mazda 3, I think it's a great all-rounder, but it particularly performs in the twisty bits. This is an honest-to-God driver's car, which is why if you're shopping in this segment, I highly recommend going and checking out this Mazda 3. So thank you so much for taking this time to watch this video. This has been The Drive Guide.